Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining. If you see this on a later moment. Um, when we sit still, it will happen by itself that you feel a presence. We just be quiet. Ah, and there's a presence. We don't have to do anything for it. It's just there, just by shutting up in a certain sense, just by being quiet. So I actually want to start this being together with that, just by being quiet for just a couple of minutes or just a minute or a moment. So yeah, where two or more are gathered, I will be there, is what Jesus said. And it's like, yeah, when you are quiet for a moment, you feel the presence because there's so much more going on than our three-dimensional universe that we think is our reality. So today I want to take a look at that taking a break, just waiting for a moment before you answer, waiting for a moment to open a door, waiting for a moment to do what you normally directly do. And this is connected to a piece of a talk of Joel and the inner meaning. And Joel gives a very simple way of training yourself in being present, being completely there in every moment. And that is so simple. He says you can teach it to a 6-year-old. It would be very easy. Well, you don't even have to teach it to a 6-year-old because a 6-year-old just lives like that. He just is very much present in the place where he's at or in the place where he's in. So we are, as humans, we are used to responding immediately, reacting, and all that, just to not miss our chance to be, yeah, to be something or someone in a certain situation. And yeah, that's basically never a good idea to do that, to directly react, because where do you react from your human mind. And your human mind is just like designed for basically for attack and for comparison and for judgment and all that. So in order to bring that back to, I want to see this differently, I want to step back for a moment and wait for spiritual guidance and wait for, like, have this spiritual presence being in my consciousness before I do anything, before I open a door, before I flush the toilet, before I whatever idea you can have about that. uh, yeah, so it is very good to be aware of that, just because you forget to be present. Like we can walk through doors and already be inside with our mind, like have an idea about, oh, that's going on, I'm stepping right in the middle of that, blah, 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 blah. And in the meantime, you just forget being completely present. Or you eat breakfast with an idea of, okay, I have to go to the office, or I have to do this and that. Oh, let's not forget this and let's not forget that. You know, so to be present, to be completely present here right now, even in this three-dimensional situation, gives you a moment to completely see what is actually going on and to completely relax and enjoy that what is being given, instead of rushing and running after your own tail. So I will read you the little piece from The Inner Meaning that was also posted on the We Help Facebook page by Linda, and that was a great piece, because actually I was looking before. I've read the piece before, but I was looking in the text and in the talks of Joel for a sort of mind training, for a sort of like how does he transfer the training to me? What kind of suggestions does he give, and what does he offer in that sense, in practical instructions of how to live your life, or how to be present in this new in this new way of living, in that sense. So I'm very happy that this was posted and I got reminded of this, because of course the mind training, like in the Course in Miracles, the mind training is like it's a very big part. Like this, a third of the book is used for that, and 365 exercises every day, one for a whole year long. So to have a little bit of that back into Joel's instructions is for me like great to read, because of the necessity is the same. You know, he does see like, okay, you need this mind training in order to be present, otherwise you will forget. And so I will read this to you, and we'll see what happens. So this is what he writes in 1955, of what he says in 1955 in Johannesburg. He's in South Africa, and he's giving this closed class, The Inner Meaning. I have been asked if there is a way in which we can train ourselves to practice the presence of God. See, this is great. It is a way to train ourselves to practice the presence of God. You want to practice this because your human mind is so busy, and you don't give yourself enough space in your mind for even feel the presence of God. So some simple way that everyone on the face of the globe could practice. And he says, well, there is such a way. It is a way that has very, very deep possibilities. Yet it is so simple that it can be taught to a 6-year-old child. And it is this. Let us assume for a moment that this is a telephone. And the bell rings, and you pick up the receiver, and ordinarily it's this way. Hello. Now let us change that mode, and within 3 days watch a miracle in your life. Pick up the receiver, wait a second, and then say hello. And very quickly you'll begin to see miracles come into your life. In this brief and then hello, you have waited for the Christ to enter, and it enters. If we do this, you are out there on the phone and I'm here. Hello, you say, and hello, there are two human beings. They can be friendly, they can be unfriendly, they can start friendly and end up in a fight. But the moment that I learn to pick this up, admit to Christ, and then talk, there are three of us. There's you and me and the Christ between us. And the presence of that Christ between us, and the presence of that Christ between us levels the whole human experience and makes it a spiritual one. Out of two human beings, it makes two spiritual beings. Out of misunderstanding, it makes for an understanding. Out of incompatibility, it makes for understanding, harmony, and peace. So, and then this is like a very simple instruction. Just wait a minute before you do anything. When you pick up the phone, just give it a second. You don't have to respond immediately. Or when you open a door, just take a moment and let the Christ in first. And if you train this, if you train yourself to this, he says, well, miracles can happen. And it is like you are going to experience the presence of Christ and of Spirit in every step that you take. And by being aware of that, the whole situation shifts and changes. And you're all aware of this. You probably all have experiences with this, because it's just a matter of remembering. You have to remember this in order for it to work. Otherwise, you just run in front of it. You run in front of basically of your creator. And you think like, oh no, let me do this. I know, I'm fine. And that's not going to work. So the beautiful thing is that it shifts the whole frequency of where you enter in. Like you enter into a complete different space when you allow this to happen. So it will be it's like you can be completely yourself when you enter into a room like that way. And you can be completely yourself, but it's more like it will because you carry Christ with you in that sense, or Christ already prepared the place for you. Something else will occur, not of your own doing. So this is a beautiful way to train yourself in confirming all the time that you're like ready with your own ideas, and that you want to enter into a new space that is filled with presence. So I thought it was so cool. I had to share it with you, because it is so practical. It is so simple. It refers back to you, that you can do this, but also that you have to allow this to occur to you. You have to allow this space to be filled, not by you, but by the miracle in that sense. Yeah, so I'm really happy I found this and that this was posted again. And also, I try to do it all the time because of the miracle mindedness, basically, that you are confirming to yourself, like, yes, I carry this with me. Yes, I'm ready for a miracle. Anything can happen now. It's like the whole flow of God can be expressed through me. Because of this, I give space to that. I don't want my own ideas, but I want something that is going to be given to me. I'm just entering, like I'm an instrument for this to happen. And I just have to wait, be patient for a second, and literally for a second, and have the space filled by the miracle principle. So yeah, that was so practical of Joel. It was such a practical. I'll read a little bit more because of all the suggestions that he gives, and it's like, yeah, open it up wide, and see how you can apply it to even unknown things. It's more like the now you can just, if you start doing this in a certain sense, if you start doing this, it is already a big shift because of the space that you allow to occur. And then this experience that you can have can literally become a revelation, can be a very beautiful, intense, um, yeah, can become an intense experience of grace and of joy, just because this moment will be more and more filled with love and light. The moment that you allow and that you step back, like, it can be filled up by spirit in any appropriate way. So that is going to be a total adventure, what that is going to do for you. And that is what I like to offer you by reading this. And so here are some more suggestions. And because Joel can say this so very practical, I love to read that to you too. And especially in regard to relationships. But here's some real practical stuff, so to speak. Now, when that practice is followed in every detail of our lives, for instance, sitting down to breakfast in the morning and never touching anything on the plate until the blink of the eye, that momentary pause which admits the Christ, acknowledges the Christ, never leaving home, never crossing the door without touching the knob of the door and waiting that second for Christ to go before. Never going into a door, through a doorway, into a building, without a momentary pause, which admits the Christ before you. Never going marketing, never going shopping, never going up to a counter to buy anything, never sitting down in a restaurant without that momentary pause. Ah, that's so lovely. Ah. Can you feel what that does to you when you hear this? It's like it quiets you down. It brings you in a different pace. Okay, I can have breaks all the time. I can become present. I can have Christ's presence with me all the time. And so you see, it changes all relationship, because instead of two human beings facing each other as human beings, that invisible, intangible presence, this transcendental being called Christ or the Spirit of God or the Comforter, that enters our relationship. And that transforms our relationship. And that transforms the relationship between buyers and salespeople, between employers and employees, between teachers and students. It changes the entire aspect of one's life. And you see, it not only operates as a leveler between us, I mean in all of our relationships, but pausing for the admission of the Christ, we no longer depend on human wisdom. That pause lets in the spiritual guidance. We make no decision, we wait for that spiritual guidance. We do not open our mouths to talk without waiting for that spiritual presence. Every day, every activity of the day, none can be neglected. So that's a beautiful way to say it. And Joel gives us everything in that sense. He put these words as a gift to us in this moment, to allow this moment to be completely new, not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do, just pausing for a moment and waiting for guidance and waiting for the Christ or the Comforter and the Spirit to become present in our consciousness. So I really love it, what he says there. I really love the suggestion, and I'm living it. I'm living that way. I'm applying that. You can apply that in your life very simply, like a 6-year-old could do it. And a 6-year-old can do it even without instruction, just because he's so much more present than we are. So we as human beings, it's like we are used to bringing the past back in. It's like, oh no, don't do that. I had really bad experiences doing so. It's like, no, you miss it. Just pause for a moment, not fill it in with the past, because that's basically what people do. They fill in the moment with past ideas and past experiences, but they are not going to bring you any adventure or anything new, and make it like contracted. If you're not open for this moment, if you're not pausing for this moment, you keep contracting yourself, being in a fearful mode of living, and it's not going to do anyone any good. And also, you will not experience joy and love and light if you do like that. But you become like a programmed, you could say like programmed robot, because you basically follow the neural pathways that you're used to. It's like you always do the same riddle. It's like a long player with a little scratch on it. It's like, yes, I do that. Yes, I do it this way. Yes, I do it this way. I always do it this way. Yes, and so that's not inspired, not being inspired, not having any space for inspiration if you do it like that. So this is an opportunity to start today with this, applying this in everything that you do, just simply by being quiet for a moment, by being quiet for a second, and allowing the Christ to come into your life, and allowing Spirit to fill the space, and being, you are carrying that with you, so that this is going to give you the assurance that you're looking for. And also your life will become so much more fulfilling if you live like this, because it will be a big adventure. You have no idea what the situation is when you go to work, or what your situation is when you enter into a room filled with people. But the simplicity is, even when we sit together and being quiet for a moment, you can feel the presence coming down on you. It's like you'll never be alone. You're just allowing this moment to be completely fulfilling. In fact, like an infinite moment of being completely present. So thank you that you join with me, and that you sit and listen to this, and sit with me quietly and letting the world be what it is. As soon as we leave this space, or as soon as we are going to a different room, you will remember this, and you will see what miracles it will bring. So you never know what's going to happen. Today I received an email from one of us, so to speak, and she has been working on the parenthesis of eternity by Joel, and she translated it in the last couple of years into Spanish. So that was just being sent, just by email. Here it is. You can do whatever you want with it. But she put all her love in there. You can feel it when she sent this email. So it's like if you are present, you never know what is going to happen. It comes from ways that you didn't expect at all. So yeah, this is just continuously going on. So I'm just excited about it. And even like today too, I suddenly was called for work. I had to fill in some space there, and I had like, oh, now I have to cancel the class. And then suddenly it was all right. They said, no, you can go now because we're fine. And I said, well, that is great, and my class can be continued. That's wonderful. So it's like the guidance that you receive, and it's almost like a flight center. You cannot be in the wrong spot. Like everything is perfectly orchestrated. And just by allowing this principle to enter into your daily life, into the space that you're not filling up, everything becomes possible instead of a problem or a situation no, just you can just allow that to spirit to take that over. And yes, it still is very difficult for me to talk when I'm in this much light. Like, wow. But I don't know what I'm saying, so I hope I make a lot of sense and that you're really enjoying this just like I do. I'm totally enjoying being present with you and joining in the light and love that we are, that is our true identity. I'm so happy with that. So thank you so much for joining. Okay, and one other thing that came in this week is a situation, somebody asking for healing. So I thought I'd bring that into today, because we have talked about this being a healing circle. It's like when somebody in your vicinity is asking for help, for instance, for a child being ill or whatever. So I had an email from someone wanting to teach, for instance, the parents, like, well, let's just pray for presence, or pray for this or pray for that, instead of the child being healed, because the presence is like where it all starts. And then this person was asking for, well, what shall I do? Is this the right way of dealing with it? And it's not that I'm going to give you the answer now, but it's more like, yeah, what if somebody's asking for help, just give what he asks for, in a certain sense. It's like you don't have to teach people how to deal with their situation that they find themselves in, but you can support and you can love them and receive them the way they come to you. And then if you want to apply Joel's teaching from today, it is like, just become quiet. You don't have to respond. So just be present with them. And no matter what the situation is, or no matter what they are asking for, no matter how ill a child is or not, it doesn't matter. It's like the presence is basically bringing everything together. If you think that you have to say something about that, how people are dealing with it, then you actually make that way of thinking real by just saying, like, no, you shouldn't do it that way. So just wait a moment. Just wait a moment and be present. Just wait a moment and let the Christ, or let Spirit come in and see what happens and see what occurs. Because it will just dissolve by itself, or it will just be like the attention or the communication that is going on will reach far much further than just this three-dimensional world. And if you receive in that moment the healing for yourself, you are basically extending it to everyone. So this is the healing that I'm offering you right now. Just receive it for yourself and bring into your mind whoever is ill or is in struggle or whatever. It really doesn't matter what it is, but receive the healing for yourself, and it will be extended by you receiving it. So this is where it starts and nowhere else. Wow, thank you so much for being here, for being present. After this, we will meet. If you want to, you can meet in the room again. Just log on for a moment for the ones that are online in this moment, and otherwise, maybe I see you on Wednesday at the meditation, and just keep the schedule. Keep an eye on the schedule, and I will let you know when the next class will be. Okay, thank you so much for being here, and maybe I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, bye-bye.